Welcome back everyone to another mini paint slinger video. Today I am going to be showing you how I make jungle bases based upon real jungles from around the world. As usual, I will be using a slew of different materials, which I will leave in the description below. Just a forward note, I have already gone and completed painting all my entire army, and as you can see I've already done 2 test models for the basing just to make sure that I got it how I wanted to before I shared my information with all of you. So this guide assumes that you are just doing the basing for your models. So let's get started. So for step 1, I went ahead and painted the base with browns, greens, and ultra light greens to simulate dirt and moss growing on the jungle floor. For step 2, I'm going to apply some static grass by Huge Miniatures 4-in-1 Scatter, which is their Marsh type, and I find this stuff quite great to work with. And as you can see, I use some glue here and gently place it down in different locations and then tap it with my finger to make sure it sits in place. But it's pretty straightforward, not too hard to do. And then make sure you shake off any excess and apply as much static grass as you want to the base. For step 3, I got a little creative when it came to working with the detritus that is found on the bottom of jungle floors. I actually used a block of coconut fibers and then went through a sifter to make it all nice and refined and to scale. And then went ahead and applied a small amount to the base just to indicate that there is some dead leaves there. Just as a note, you can see I didn't really use a lot of the coconut fibers because just adding a little bit of it makes a huge impact on the base. For step 4, we're going to add grass tufts to the base. Now here a lot of people tend to go pretty wild with grass tufts when it comes to jungle bases. However, if you actually study photos of jungle floors, there's really not a lot of grass to be found compared to the moss and smaller vegetation that's on the floor. So just a few tufts would be perfect for your base. For step 5, we're going to continue adding more to the base just to give some variation. Here I am adding some tufts with some flowers on them, which will just add a little bit of different variation to the base and kind of give it more of that wild, untamed feeling that you get whenever you look at jungle photos. For step 6, this is where the magic really starts to happen. Here I got some GamerGrass laser plants, and I absolutely love these things. You pop them out of their stencils, and then you want to go ahead and fold them and bend them to form the type of shape that you want with the plant. And because of the size and variation in color as well as the scale, it's quite a wonderful product and very easy to use, although it can be a little bit time consuming. However, it gives an excellent look to your jungle base. Once you have all the laser plants prepared for the base, now it's time to figure out where you want to place them. Just like tufts, you don't want to go too wild with these just because of the sizes. And once you decide to place one of these laser plants, you want to go ahead and super glue it and then use either tweezers, or in my case I used a mold line remover, and then gently stick it down onto the base. At this point, you are done creating the jungle base for your miniature. And once you go ahead and start repeating this process on other miniatures and bring them together, you can see they start to create a nice uniform jungle base look. As you can see, I found this way to be very fast and easy in order to quickly put together a jungle themed army. So what about larger bases? Well, this same method can be repeated on any scale base, and you can actually get to start having more fun with it the larger the base size, just because you have more area to play with. Here you can see I'm kind of looking at places that I've already have the moss effect put down, and I'm just trying to decide where to put the static grass. Now that I have the locations that I want picked out, I go ahead and start with some glue and prepare it for putting down the static grass that I had on the previous base that I showed. Just a quick hint, one of the things that you really want to try to do is create randomization in order to get that realistic look. You don't want to try to create a uniform static grass unless you're doing something, say, like a Blood Bowl field for the game Blood Bowl, or if you are trying to do any kind of a grassy field, for example. Even those have some variation in it if you study them closely. Moving on to the next step, we now go back to gluing down the coconut fibers here to get some detritus on the floor of the base. And once again, randomization is the key. You don't want to oversaturate it, especially with these coconut fibers, just because they're a bright color. And as you can see here, I'm just kind of dabbing a little bit of glue here and there as to where I want to have it show. But you don't want to add too much of this stuff, otherwise it overpowers the base. Now that we've finished adding the coconut fibers, we can go back to adding some grass tufts. And with the size of this particular base, since it's almost double the size of the previous base that I worked on, we can add more tufts if we want. Here I just add a couple of them just to give a little bit more variation, just to show that this area is denser with vegetation. Now that we have finished putting on our grass tufts, we can go ahead and move on putting shrubs and flower tufts onto the base to break up the jungle floor look and give it that wild, untamed feeling that we're trying to achieve. For the last step, we go back to our laser plants that we get from GamerGrass, and this time, because the base is larger, we can use some of the larger sized foliage and adhere that to the base. So I went ahead and chose a larger plant just to give a little bit size variation, and later on I also use a smaller plant just to glue down, just to randomize the base a little bit further. So now that we have our locations picked out for the laser plants, we go ahead and add some super glue to the bottom of the plants, and then once again press them down into place, and the base is complete. Now that we have completed the base, we can add it with the others. As you can see, it creates a nice seamless jungle base transition. I hope you all enjoyed the video as much as I did making it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.